whether people learn from experience or whether they don't is their choice in terms of how they experience the world. But every experience is a potential step to greater wisdom. But only if you take the experience and you turn it into wisdom by learning from it. And of course, the history of humanity is going through the same mistakes, reaching the same outcomes from the same mistakes, and then making the same mistakes again and reaching the same outcomes. And the historical point changes, the situation changes, but basically the same mistakes are constantly perpetuated. And it's a question of whether that process is going to end, and people really do look at what's happening in the world, look at their own lives, and start saying, well, actually, the reason it's all becoming such a mess actually is our own fault, in a way, in the sense of the choices we make, the decisions we make to act, and overwhelmingly the decisions we make not to act. I think one of the major collective things that we can learn from what's emerging is that if we give our power away and if we give our responsibility away, then somebody is going to take that responsibility and take that power, and it's going to recycle it back against us. So if you see something in the world you don't like, and then you simply blame the politicians, what you're doing is giving your responsibility away to the politicians. What are they going to do about it? And if we're going to turn this around, that question needs to be reworded. What am I going to do about it? What are we going to do about it? Because so many people use hurling abuse at other people, be they politicians or bankers or whatever, as an excuse to hand responsibility to someone else and away from themselves. The politicians, and more importantly, the hidden forces that control the politicians and the bankers and the biotech cartel and the big pharma cartel and the media cartel have allowed or been allowed to take that power and build that power, while humanity was watching the game shows or the sport and being largely disinterested in what was actually happening in the world. It can be very put very symbolically with moths so mesmerized by the light on the porch that they can't see the guy with the swatter walking behind them to smack him on the arse. And that light is all the diversions that the system puts up, be it the cult of celebrity, religion, television, sport, all these diversions to keep us looking over there so they can go on working over here. And this process has been going on for so long now that a very considerable and efficient structure of hidden power has been built, and we're now seeing the consequences of it. We're seeing the consequences of it, for instance, with a country of little more, in fact less than 8 million people, Israel, committing daily genocide as we talk now on a helpless, defenseless people in Gaza. And the rest of the world, in political terms, just looks on. And the reason it looks on, and the reason it's silent, and the reason it doesn't react to Israel as it would react if the same thing was done by Syria or Iran or whatever, is because this structure controls the leadership of Israel and controls the leadership of America and Britain and so on. And so the regime in Israel is told this is what you're going to do, and all the other major leaders and their countries are told you're not going to respond to it, you're not going to stop them. And so what happens is you have thousands and thousands of people on the streets all over the world, but the leadership of those countries stays silent. Why? Because that leadership, that political leadership, does not answer to people and their concerns and their demands and their needs. It answers to the network that put them in power and keeps them in power. And when they've gone, the next one will come in and it will be exactly the same situation, which is why nothing ever changes. That structure has been built while humanity has given responsibility away to politicians and establishment structures, and use that as an excuse not to be involved in what's actually happening in the world, indeed overwhelmingly even to care what's happening in the world, and make it your business to know what's happening in the world. And there are consequences for that. Life is very simple: choice and consequence, choice and consequence, choice and consequence. And if we collectively are going to learn from experience, then we need to realize that if we want to stop taking the same consequences, we've got to start making different choices, and making it our business to be involved in the affairs of the world, whether they be in the community or in the wider world, and not allow a few people to take that power and do with it whatever they choose. It's a big potential lesson here for the human race. If you give your power away, don't complain if someone picks that up and turns it against you, because that's what's happened on multiple levels in this crazy, insane world that we call planet Earth.